Have no fear.
Pascal, Shanty too.
He comes first. Good morning, Mr. Jordan.
Good morning.
You're here, sir. No intimidation. You're not afraid of nothing.
No, I'm not afraid, man. I'm not afraid.
Good.
Do nothing, fear nothing, man.
Excellent. Nothing, fear nothing.
Thank
We
you.
want to tell the fans out there,
Or the public.
the public out there.
I am grateful, first of all, for the support that I've been given and all the prayers and so on while I was ill. And God is always in charge. And this too shall pass.
Yes.
This too shall pass.
Yes.
You know? For me, and my family is very unfortunate because I give my life to this country at all levels, local and international and regionally. And I've never turned around. And I've worked with all different administrations. And I see this for political persecution, which is sad development. But like I said, I leave it to the Lord. He's in charge, and He's going to bring me.
Yes. We stand with you.
We all stand here with you.
Thank you.
All right, we
Yes,
have some
outside.
folks out here who has
Outside, we stand
braved the
around
weather.
the finance minister.
Brave the weather to support the former finance minister. Sitting here in the rain
We're in a shine. Stand with you.
to keep watch.
Yes.
We will keep watch.
Keep watch. No matter what, they will keep watch. You have the vice chairperson for the PNCR out here, and she's also here to keep watch in the rain. You know, they could have been doing something better in the rain, but they decided to come out and do something of utmost importance in the rain. What are your thoughts, Miss Madam Elizabeth, on this trumped up charge against our former finance minister?
Good morning, comrades. I'm happy to be out here in support of our former finance minister. You know, this man would have given his life as a public servant to doing what is right, and he stood for what he believed in. He had put, along with the government, put systems in place to protect our oil revenue, protect our money, protect Guyanese. However, this government chose to prosecute him. And as a people, we need to stand up, because today for him, tomorrow will be for somebody else. And even if it's me alone, I will stand, because I believe that the future is for the children and the people of Guyana. And if we don't stand up for what is right, you know what will happen? They will railroad all of us. They will crush all of us. And we can't allow that. The revenue of this country is for Guyanese. It is not for a few elites, right? A few people. And so I stand with Mr. Jordan today. Come hell or high water, I stand with him, and the world must know what this government is doing to public servants. Thank you.
That's Miss Elizabeth Niles there for you, giving her our thoughts on this matter. And so we're going to be keeping watch with Mr. Jordan. He's sitting right there, early to court this morning. He's sitting there, and he's waiting to hear his matter. And so he's a very good student of the law, so he knows exactly how important the law is and the Constitution. So it's not like some other people who doesn't really know what the Constitution says and always want to trump up their own constitutional wording to meet their own matter or their own gain. But he is there waiting for his case to be called, and we're going to be sitting out here waiting until it is done. So that's what's happening outside of the courtroom of the Magistrates Court in Georgetown, Guyana. And so we're going to take a break come back as soon as we have more information as to how far or if they're going to throw this whole thing out for wasting people's time. And so we're going to be keeping you updated as to what is happening at the courtroom with Mr. Jordan, the former finance minister of Guyana. Mr. Leader of the opposition, Mr. Joseph Harmon, there, speaking with Mr. Jordan to give him all the support he needs, moral support. The leader of the PNCR, Mr. Norton, will be here shortly as well to also give moral support to Mr. Jordan. We have the leader of the party, PNCR, Mr. Aubrey Norton, is here as well to give moral support. We have Mr. Royce Ford just gone in there, as you can see.
No, I'm here.
So yes, if you just joined us, this is what's happening outside the courtroom. We are downstairs at the magistrate's court. Downstairs at the magistrate's court where Mr. Winston Jordan is court this morning. We have Senior Counsel Royce Ford there as part of his counsel team. We have the leader of the opposition also out there. We also have the leader of the PNCR, Mr. Aubrey Norton, also out there, and a number of supporters as well gathered outside to give moral support to Mr. Winston Jordan, who is on trumped-up charges brought by the state, and so we are hoping that this matter is thrown out because it is frivolous, it is uncalled for, it is unjust, it is not even sound in law. Our senior counsel, Mr. Royce Ford, who is also the shadow Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, is here as one of his counsel on this matter. So we're outside. If you can look, Mr. Jordan is just outside, is just there as persons having a chat with both the leader of the party, Mr. Aubrey Norton, and the leader of the opposition, having a chat right there as we wait for their matter to be heard this morning. So we're going to be outside here with you. We're going to be outside here with you to bring you updates as to how this matter is being processed and give you all the updates that you need on this trumped-up charges by the PPP. I'm going to ask Mr. Royce Ford to come and give us a comment as to where things stand. Stay with us. Mr. Ford, could you give us a comment in terms of where things stand on this matter with Mr. Jordan right now?
Well, Andrew, we're here today. We've been summoned, Mr. Jordan has been summoned to attend court for charge of misconduct in public office. It is a very strange event, it's a very uncomfortable event. I want the public to know that we will stoutly defending Mr. Jordan, we will stoutly defending his record as a Minister of Finance in this government. The charge is completely without merit. It is another manifestation of the political persecution that officials and ministers who have provided distinguished service to this country on the APNU AFC government would have to be subjected to. But we are uniting around them. We will remain resolute in our common defense, because the attack on one of them is the attack on all of us, and we will continue to stand resolutely with Mr. Jordan and any other person that this installed corrupt cabal intends to bring before them.
We see this as another pattern from the installed government in terms of bringing charges against former government ministers and other supporters of the party. We have Carol Joseph Smith, we got Ms. Margaret, Miss Lawrence as well. All of them being brought on charges that are frivolous and not sound in law. Do you care to say exactly how far these matters are, and is it going to be over with anytime soon?
Based on what I am aware of, the stages of these matters, they are far away from even commencing. You know, I've been speaking about this issue numerous times, time and time again, and I've described it as the weaponization of the court by the PPP. We speak about it in terms of the weaponization of the Guyana Police Force to become an instrument and a manifestation of the will of the People's Progressive Party. And that is simply what is happening here. That is simply what is continuing to happen, where the courts are being used as part of a political plan to destabilize the coalition and to destabilize the members of the government who would have served under the AP and UAFC.
You know who's going to be hearing this matter today?
I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure.
All right. Thank you, sir. We're going to be out here waiting for the results of this matter. Thank you very much. Anything else you want to say to the public before you go?
Not at this stage. Let us complete the hearing and I'll come back.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. If you just join us, you can see Mr. Ford, Senior Counsel, is talking with Mr. Norton, as well as the opposition leader, and Mr. Jordan is there waiting for the matter to be heard this morning in the Magistrates Court on misconduct in public office. So we are waiting. He's going to be going up those stairs just now to hear the matter. We don't know who is going to be hearing this matter, but Mr. Jordan is there with his counsel, Senior Counsel Roysdale Ford, and the leader of the opposition and the leader of the PNCR.
All right, so you're here.
one has to recognize that the PP government, especially the Demon Jack, seems hell-bent on being able to pillage the treasury. And I believe they are annoyed that in Article 22, Minister Jordan put an oversight that makes it difficult for them to just go and do as they like with the funds. I believe the time charging when they're carrying the Natural Resource Fund amendment tomorrow. And so to me, it is clearly an attempt to suggest that Jordan did something wrong. When in fact, what the former minister did was put enough safeguards in there so that no government, including when he was in government, could actually pillage the fund. Clearly, Jack, even the people's interest is in stealing the resources from our treasury. And I believe that is the first major problem they have, and that's why they would have brought Jordan to court. It is evident to me that the People's Progressive Party doesn't want an organized approach to the oil resources so that we protect this generation and future generations. What they're trying to do is to be able to spend as much money as possible without catering for the future at bad times, which is also dangerous. Because when you look at somebody like Jack, he doesn't care about the guy he's with, regardless of ethnicity. His only interest, to me, is to get rich quick. And the way the fund is presently structured, it doesn't allow him to do that. And so they are moving and clearing the way so that they can steal the people's money. And that for me is concerning. I believe that this bill should not come now. They should serious discussions. I think it should go to a select committee so that people can make inputs, because it's dangerous. It's going to place the future of the people of Guyana at risk. And I believe it is for those reasons Jack and the people have decided that they want to amend the Natural Resource Fund. There is another very dangerous thing that Jack is doing. In a lot of his statements, he is kind of condemning civil society for asking for this bill not to come and for it to be relooked. Now, Jack has an outdated concept of governance. He continues to harp on this thing, but that they were not elected. And when he suggests that they are not elected, he is implying that because civil society didn't go to an election, they don't have a say. I don't agree with that. But let's assume we take that as true. Why doesn't he feel the AP and UAFC that went to elections, beat them, and they're there because of fraud, don't have a say? Because it is not only civil society that's calling for a pushback on this bill. The political parties have been calling. And so one has to be very careful with this outdated concept that Barajak Deo is coming with. It's a demonic concept. And that's why I describe him as a demon. Everything he does is aimed at creating harm. Now, for years in this country and for years in the world, politics has accepted that though groups might not be in politics, they are entitled to a seat. And therefore to come now and argue that they didn't go to an election and therefore they don't have a say, it's really going backwards, because you're narrowing the involvement of people. And when you narrow the involvement of people, you are more and more reducing the democratic option. And so even his comments on civil society establishes clearly that he's a dictator. He doesn't believe in the wider involvement of people in the decision making of this country. And so one has to confront this frontally and force the People's Progressive Party to embrace the modern concept of a role for civil society in which these varying interests exist and people can promote them without having gone to an election as a political party. In any polity, everybody is not going to be a political party by the election. But everybody will be involved in the society, and there is need for them to have a say. And through civil society mediums, they are allowed to have a say. And therefore, Jack Hill is clearly a dictatorial person who doesn't understand, or is not prepared to accept that there's a role in society for civil society, and that he and his cronies can direct everything that happens in this country. And so we'll have to take on his concept of, we have to confront his of the role of civil society. Civil society needs a wider role. Civil society has interests that it can protect without having to go to an election. Why take Transparency International? Why does Transparency have to go to an election to be able to talk about transparency and do things to ensure there is transparency? And so Jagdo really and truly is a demon. Every act that he carries out, you will see clearly that it is aimed at domination and control. And one of the reasons I think Jordan is here is to establish, instill fear, and to help them to appear to be dominant and controlling. And that also has been done.
Thank you, sir.
Continuation of a statement which I've given before, that the PPP's attempt to muzzle people who are prepared to speak out against the atrocities that are taking place in this country. Minister Jordan, you know, of course, is an outspoken critic about the economic policies of this country. And so this charge, just like the wanted bulletin that I put out against report work, all of these are aimed at silencing dissent. Dissent is something which is guaranteed under our Constitution. And that is a right which Mr. Jordan has. And so this charge this morning is about misconduct in public office. It's one of the most widest charges that you could actually bring. You know, in the army, they had something called a Section 75 charge, which is conduct to the prejudice of good order and military discipline. This is a charge that you institute where you can't find nothing else. And I just show this to them. So this is that kind of a charge. And I have no doubt that when the evidence is led, that Mr. Jordan would be vindicated. That what is happening here today is a charade, is the PPP charade about ensuring that they can silence certain voices in this society. But I've said before that if they try to silence Jordan, 100 more Jordans will rise. 100 more Jordans will rise. And they have already started to rise. So that nobody, Jagdeo, Irfan Ali, nobody could feel that they have that power to silence the voices of reason, the voices of the people. And so today I am here to stand with Mr. Jordan as an attorney at law and to ensure that his rights, along with all of the other attorneys who are there, ensure that his rights are protected and that they do not try to embarrass him and try to run him, ridicule him before the media, ridicule him internationally. Mr. Jordan is not just a local figure, he's an international figure. He has represented Guyana and represented Guyana well internationally. So what is happening here is an attempt to bring down, lower in the eyes of the public, the esteem of this gentleman. And we are going to stand there to make sure that it does not happen, and we will keep the media briefed on what is taking place in the courtroom. Because as far as I'm concerned, this is a charade. It is an attempt just to embarrass Winston Jordan, because he has been embarrassing them every week when they come out with these bogus figures about the economy, when they speak about what the economy is doing and it is not doing. This is what we are up against. And so I think all of Guyana, internationally, we should condemn this kind of behavior. Yeah. Where they are trying to silence dissent. Around the world, this is happening, and around the world, people are speaking out against it. And in Guyana, we have to take that stand and speak out against it.
Mr. Harmon, are you officially part of this legal team? And
yes.
Who are the other attorneys?
This is Mr. Roy Dilford, Mr. Darren Wade, and so far I think I'm running from that.
Yes.
Yes.
So Mr. Jordan, quickly, legally speaking, what will be your major counter argument against this charge?
Well, basically, we'll have to see what evidence they are going to bring. Because I said it is what you call a blanket charge. And so you need to see what specifically they are going to bring. In my view, they have nothing. In my view, they have nothing. Because of what I'm hearing, they're seeking to say that he took some steps which the cabinet had ordered and that he ought not to have done that. This is what I'm hearing outside, but this is not what the evidence has been presented. So I would prefer to wait until they lay what it is that they have, and we will deal with it at that point in time. All right, thank you very much.